what I'm going to be talking to you today about is how one of the ways that we can turn our social visitors into actual destination visitors. So we have a challenge. So we've spent the last day and a half hearing some really awesome and amazing presenters telling us all about how to build, really engaged social communities, learning from Corey, amazing content which is helping them grow their social communities, so more people learning about the NT, and also how we can get our social communities to talk and let more people know about our regions or our tourism experiences. But the real challenge is we've got all these social fans loving our destinations, our experiences, liking our content, sharing it. But the actual reality of shifting them across to actually getting their bums on seats and coming to visit our destination or visiting our tourism experience is a real challenge. And I know there's this real gap, and we hear it quite often, especially from a lot of the destinations we work with as well. So we have this gap. As I said, we've got all our social communities, but in the middle there's this bit of a gap of, how do we get them down to actually visiting our destination? So there's a couple of things we can do. Andrew shared, it just touched on it yesterday, Facebook advertising. There's some really exciting targeting opportunities in Facebook that we can, really target and narrow in on our customers and share some really targeted advertising opportunities. But the other tactic that I want to talk to you today about is actually the humble email. And when we do email right, it can be an absolutely fantastic way to move our social communities down to actual visitors in our regions or booking our experiences. So email really should play a really important part in your social strategy, and I'll share you some tips on how to do that. So again, as I said, if we do it right, we can shift those customers down that sales funnel to actually visiting. So there's a number of reasons why email totally rocks and why we all need to be using it. So, if you're not using it already, hopefully we'll have you convinced, and if you are using it, hopefully looking at it in a new and more exciting light. So firstly, as we know, social's really noisy. There's a lot of, so much content out there in social, more and more brands, more and more people using social, and so it makes it, we've got to work really hard to make that awesome content stand out and engage our communities. But with email, as we know, it's really quiet. Once you're talking to someone on email, it's really, one-on-one. Whether they choose to open and read your email is another story, and I'll give you some tips on that later. Another awesome thing about email is it's a much better space to be sharing our sales messages about our destination or even our tourism product as well. We're on social to be catching up with friends, being entertained, or just, escape from what we're doing in their day for a few seconds. We're not necessarily there to shop. Unless you're Davo to buy a pair of Tallman jeans, or in the retail space. Retail, definitely, it's a really instant purchase, but for travel, we are aspirational. People don't, it takes some time to plan and book their trips. So, email's better for that. Also, email, we have amazing free reach. We all have smartphones in our pockets. We've all got instant access to our inboxes. Not necessarily everyone is on social. We obviously all are, but all of our best customers may not necessarily be spending a lot of time on social, but we know everyone gets email. Another really important thing about email is we own our customers' details. Again, on social, we do not own those platforms. We do not own our social customers' contact details. So heaven forbid something happened to our communities, we've got no way of getting in touch with them. If we do email right, it can be your most influential owned media channel as well, and I'll share you tips now moving through on how to do this. So first up, let's talk though how to totally suck at doing your emails. So there's a couple of things to really watch out for when we're looking at emails and sending them and talking to our customers on email. The first one, which I see quite often, is we're making the wrong assumptions about our customers and where they are in the purchase funnel. It's a little bit hard to see up there, but that's a V of customers moving down basically to travelling. And often when people join our email newsletter list, we make the assumption that they're right down the bottom, they're really ready to book and go. They already know a lot about our destination, they're inspired, they know what they want to see and do. So as a result, what we do as marketers or destination marketers or tourism businesses is we send them tactical email offers of things like, hey, we've got a great deal, why don't you come and book now? A great winter sale, or we've got a special flight deal, those sort of things. But the problem with this is not necessarily everyone is at that stage ready to book. They may be way earlier in the, they may still be dreaming or in the planning stages and working out where they're going to go. So if we send them this sort of email update, what will happen is you will annoy them, they'll ignore you, they'll delete you, or at worst, they'll become an unsubscriber. The second challenge to really keep an eye out for is sending really uninspiring emails. It's very similar to social. We've got to work really hard to make sure that content we share in our emails is awesome and people want to read it. So things to watch out for here are, as destinations, I see this a little bit, sending a big long list of upcoming events in our regions. That's just boring. Focus in on one really interesting event that's relevant to your customers. Too general. This is probably more for destinations. Again, we try and be all things to all people. We often have got other stakeholders we need to be keeping happy, and we often, trying to pack too much or please too many people. So sharing really general content is just not interesting to customers. Again, also too factual. We need, really good point this morning is we need to win our hearts and minds of our customers, which Christine made in her really great presentation. And so we need to focus on that emotional content, same as social in email. And often it's just way too wordy. Again, we're reading on the small screens, so you've got to keep it really short, sharp and shiny. And again, if we do this sort of stuff, you'll also turn your email subscribers into unsubscribers as well. So, while email is it's free and it's got that amazing reach, it must be super relevant and engaging before we will convert any of our subscribers into visitors. So, second bit now, we'll have a look at actually what to do to create a really engaging email that will hopefully help build that customer love and conversion for your tourism brand. So to get really good success with your email, it really comes down to sharing the right messages with the right people at the right time. And what I'm going to do is take you through how we can do this quite easily, whether you are a big destination or even a small tourism business. So first thing, super, super important is we need to know who we are talking to on email. We need to know who our right customers are. And this doesn't just apply for email marketing, it really applies to our whole marketing strategy in our businesses or our regions. And if we don't know who our right customers are, we could be wasting our precious time and resources. So again, especially in destination marketing, we always talk about, our target market or a niche segment. But the thing with, especially in the online space, is this just is not specific enough. We need to get really down, nitty-gritty, and getting to know our customers so we can describe them as one single person in that particular niche segment. For example, I'm Rebecca. I'm a mum with young kids, and so I travel. I like to go to family-friendly wineries and all those sort of things. So we need to be able to describe someone that represents our target audience in that amount of detail so we know exactly who we're talking to, because it then means we can create the content that's going to attract them. Some clues to work out who your ideal customers are. You don't need reams of research to do this. You can, really, if you've got the data, fantastic, but if you don't, you can pretty much use your imagination and work this out just with a few tips. So your ideal customers, these are the guys that love your tourism experience the most, so it really fits with what they're looking for in a holiday. They're also the ones that spend the most, so money is less of an issue. So they're happy to stay the extra night, buy the extra bottle of wine, those sort of things. So money is not an issue, and obviously they're the most profitable customers, which is the ones we want in our regions and businesses. They're also the ones that are most likely to rave about your product. So if they love your experience and then share it with their family and friends, as we've learned throughout the whole conference, this is our most valuable marketing that we can have for our tourism experiences. And the final really important thing about our ideal customers is it's not so much about their age or where they live, it's getting really clear on what are the things that they aspire to on their holiday, what are their values and what are their challenges. And when you know this, that's when you can again create that really engaging content that will help draw them down and hopefully become visitors. So the second part of sharing really good emails that people want to open and read is having the right content. So the right content is the content that, one, you've got the content that your customers are interested in, but then you've also got the content that's going to help deliver your overall business or destination marketing goals. And where they intersect, that's the right content. And that right content is really simple, just 3 types of content to really focus on. So that's content that inspires people about your region, content that helps them, so helps them overcome those barriers to travelling to your region, and also the stories. And again, we've been hearing about, sharing stories about our destinations or tourism experiences over the last few days. So I'll show you some examples of this in a minute. So essentially, to turn our email subscribers into visitors, we must first really inspire them, make sure we're building that desire for our tourism experience, and also solving problems or overcoming barriers, which a number of people have referred to the last couple of days, basically in their presentations. Because the thing is, there is a ton of content out there already that our customers are looking at when they're thinking about their next travel holidays. So if you think of it like this, it's like, they're looking at social, they're looking at blogs, they're Googling, they're talking to family and friends, they're looking at TripAdvisor reviews. So there's all this content out there about different destinations and yours as well. But what we all need to do is basically curate and organise this content in a much more organised way. So bringing all this awesome content together in a way that helps our customers or potential customers make sense of, how they can experience our regions or our tourism and products, and make it easier for them to actually buy when the time is right for them to visit. So a couple of really awesome examples here. First one is the how to do the Whitsundays blog content, which I know Kayla's in the room. So this is an amazing piece of content that I'm talking about. Content doesn't have to be at this level. This is a really amazing blog piece. But the awesome thing about this blog is it really explains, it both firstly inspires you to want to do the Whitsundays. It's got awesome infographic map that shows you all about the Whitsundays. It curates in all the really practical information about how to get around, how to see and do the Whitsundays, because that's a practical thing that people have issues with. Also shows all the inspiring spots that you can go around the Whitsundays as well. So this is the sort of content I'm talking about, curating in the stuff that we've got and making it easy for our customers to understand our tourism products. Another nice example, which it goes to show it doesn't have to be, as detailed and as amazing as Kayla's piece. This is an example. Margaret River have recently relaunched their consumer site, and great to see they've got a blog on it. And they've got a blog piece on there called The Best Family-Friendly Breweries with Playgrounds. And this one really stood out to me because, again, I travel with young children, but I really want an experience and a destination that both the kids and my husband and I are happy as well. And this blog is brilliant. It's got great photos of all the different breweries. It tells me really detailed information about it, and it's really curating it all in one spot. So it really makes it easy. If I'm going to the Margaret River, this is the places to see and do. So basically, the type of content that I'm really talking about here is content that is on our own websites in the form of a blog. And a few people, I know Caroline spoke on blogging this morning, but blogging is, a really awesome own channel that we all need to be investing more time and effort in. There's a number of really awesome things about blogging. First one is, again, like email, a blog is simply a page on our website, but that's content, that's a piece of real estate that we own and control, which we can refer people to, but we can also share it out onto social media. It's also awesome for our search engine rankings. As we know, search is really important for our customers. That's often the first thing that they jump to when they're planning or dreaming about their next trip. And if we're sharing this great content, that will show up in search results as well. Another really valuable, really important thing, which I think we sometimes forget, is content that we're sharing out on social media, especially Facebook and Twitter, has a really short shelf life. Once people have seen it, it's gone. But if we're putting that content on our blog, it's there long term for new people to our websites to see, and we can still share it back out on social media as well. And also, blogging is really low cost to do. Apart from a small amount of cost to get your website set up to do blogging, and maybe some costs involved with employing staff to create the content, really doesn't have to cost much at all, even for a small business. And the final tip here so we've worked out who our customers are, we've worked out what the great content is, and the final piece in the jigsaw for creating emails that customers want to open is where we can try and personalise the content that we're sending to our customers on email as well. So this all basically comes down to segmenting our customers list. So when we've got a list of customers' email, basically dividing our customers up into different groups so we can then send really targeted, relevant emails to them when the time is right. So the tactical offers only go out to those that it's relevant for them. So the way to divide up our email lists, we can do it, ideally we do it around the experiences and regions that they're interested in. This is for destinations. Location is a really good one. So if you know where they live, postcode, state, country, then we can obviously, send, the local. If you've got last minute deal, you can send offers only to the guys that live locally, that sort of thing. And if you can, this is a bit trickier for those that don't take online bookings. Tourism operators, it's a little bit easier. If we can get the data of people that have booked, we can match that up as well. So the way to actually do this, there's a few simple things we can do. So one, we can actually just ask them when they subscribe to tell us what are you interested in hearing about. So nice example here from Tourism Western Australia. So when you jump onto their email newsletter list, you get this on their welcome email, you get this, the 4 key experiences, and they say, please let us know which of the content you'd like to receive, so they can then tailor their email updates. And even they take it one step further, is when you get their email newsletter, in the actual e-news, they've actually got a little, right down the bottom there, it actually says, if you like this content, we'll send more of it, so you can choose if you like it, and they'll basically say, okay, we'll send you some more of that. Another example here is from Travel Oregon. So they've done it a little bit differently. They've actually got 3 different e-newses. So they've got a general one, and then they've got one around culinary and one around outdoors. So that's another simple way we could do it. And again, when you go in, and the subscribers can pop in all the information that they're interested in, so the different experiences. And also another example here, Tourism Queensland do this really, really well. So again, when you sign up for the e-news, they say, they send you through to the welcome page and say, look, can you update your preferences and let us know where you live? And then they've actually, so that then helps them tailor their email updates that they send out to you as well. So how this all looks then, once you've got, who you're talking to, who your content is, and being able to personalise it, what we then hopefully can do with our email is send really relevant, helpful and inspiring email updates out to our customers. And then when you do have a tactical offer, you can share a really relevant tactical deal just to the people that's relevant to. And if we do this right, hopefully what you'll have is people actually deciding to book and visiting your destination. So essentially, when we do email right, it can be a really always-on, really low-cost marketing campaign for your region or your tourism experience. So, it's very, very powerful, and it really doesn't take a whole heap of time, money or resources as well. So just a few tips here. So how do we get our social communities to join our email newsletter list? A few practical tips here. Tourism Queensland, again, do this super well, so I recommend jump on their website and have a look. But the first thing to do is on your website and on all stages, ask your customers to join your email newsletter list. And as bonus points, give them something in return for joining your email newsletter list if you can. So they, at the moment, have got a awesome little ebook about 101 ways to do the Great Barrier Reef. So you get that in return for joining their e-newsletter. On their website too, they've also got the pop-up. They're very annoying, but they work. So that's if people have been on your website for a little while. It's like, hey, do you want to keep in touch and keep getting more of this awesome content? And it can also be as simple as asking them. I saw this nice social listening by, again, the TQ guys. They've popped it up in Twitter, say, hey, do you want to come and join our e-newsletter list as well? That was just this morning. Another really powerful way to move a lot of them quickly across from social is could run a competition as well and say, hey, here's a chance to win this awesome prize, but make it a condition of entry that they have to join your email newsletter list as well. So a few different ideas there about what you can do. Next up, I just want to talk on how to rock our email designs so we can actually hopefully get more people opening and reading our emails, because it's all well and good to have this awesome content that's targeted. But there's also a few things that we need to think about when we're designing and sending our emails. So first up, as we know, everyone is pretty much reading their emails on the smartphone, small screen. So you've got to work really hard to make sure that your email stands out and it gets our attention of our subscribers as well. So just as an example here, when you're sending your email, make sure when you're sending it that it's got from a trusted brand name. So this would be your regional name or your tourism business as well. Second really important thing here is your subject line. It's super, super important. That's really the first, that's the most important thing that people see. And on iPhones, you've got about 32 characters to work with. So don't waste that space saying things like, e-newsletter or whatever. Literally jump in with your best, most interesting content to make people want to jump in and actually open and read your email. And then what you can do is you've got your second headline text, which is actually a preview text, which goes right at the top of your email. You can use that to help explain a little bit more about what your email is to make people, want to open and hopefully read it as well. Goes without saying, but if you're sending an email out, make sure you've got a mobile responsive template that you're using. Pretty much all email service providers have got mobile templates now, so just make sure that you've got one of those, and it's nice, simple and clean design. Doesn't have to be anything too complicated at all. So good, bad. You can see if you have to pinch and zoom, people are just not going to read it. They'll delete, wasting your time. Again, make it really short, sharp and scannable. Again, we've got such short attention spans, so it's really like social. Just keep it really short, not too many words, and also make it really visual. And I've actually got, this is a little video that we can jump back and show you this. It's just literally just a quick video showing you a good design here. So you can see a bit of text at the top, and you scroll down, there's 3 blog articles, each with really visual, with a really short description of what that article is about, which is the blog article, and then a nice clear call to action, which they can click on that, goes through to hopefully a mobile responsive landing page on the blog to read it in full. Another tip here is for people that are opening their emails on desktop, a lot of programs actually turn images off by default, such as Outlook. So just make sure with your images in your emails that you've got your alternative tags optimised. So this is the image here, and if the images are turned off, up the top, you can, a bit hard to see, but it basically says, it's got the blog title with a link, click here to read more. So just another little tip to watch out for there. And also too, with our emails, try and just have one objective for when you're sending an email. So if you're sending one that's got some awesome blog content, keep it just to that. And if you've got, a great tactical deal, just keep that. That's the only thing you're sending in that email, because if we mix it up, you tend to dilute the results, and again, you won't get such good results or conversions. And what we've got is I've actually got a live example for you all. So if we've, that template that you saw, so if you are interested in seeing all those tips on how to design a good email newsletter, this is relevant for if you're a tourism business or a region, you can check that out under bit.ly.com/rockyouremails, and you'll see that live demo of that email I just showed you. Final really important thing about email design is more also about when we send it. So an email has a shelf life of about 5 hours from when we send it. So anything longer than that, you've only got about 10% chance that people will open and read it. So, when you're sending your emails, think about who you're sending it to, who's your ideal customer, where are they in their day, where are they in their week, and, send it at a time that's, relevant for them as well, not at a time that's, helps you because you're in the office and can monitor. And the final bit here is, really important. It's very important that we measure what we're doing to make sure that what we're doing with our emails is actually, helping contribute to, getting those conversions. So again, what we need, there's really just 2 metrics to keep an eye on. So first one is engagement. So how engaged are people in our emails that we're sending out? So we can check this out. All our email subscribers will email service providers will tell you this. So how many people have opened it, and how many people have clicked through on that hopefully awesome blog content across to your website. But the most important stuff really is those that engage, what have they done once they've clicked on that content and moved across to your website. So we can then move across to tracking in Google Analytics. So from here we can have a look at, where are they landing on our websites? How long are they spending on our website? Are they taking time to read the content, or are they bouncing straight out? Obviously longer the better. How many pages are they visiting? For example, you go onto the TQ blog and you just get, as I think Donna had a really good quote this morning, go down a rabbit hole of awesome content. So my stats of when I go on their website would be, I'm on there for 10 minutes reading all the awesome content. So obviously the longer on the website, the better. If people are sharing your blog article as well, or even making comments, that's also important engagement to be tracking. And also, are there more people joining your email newsletter list as well, more from when they're on your website than as a result of that email? But if they've shared it, there might be some more subscribers as well. And finally, really, the interest in sales. So this is always a bit of a tricky one. How do we actually measure conversion? Well, if if you are in a destination that can actually take online bookings, then we can pretty much measure and track this through Google Analytics. So it's, looking at if we've got gold conversions set up on our website, it doesn't necessarily actually have to, a conversion doesn't have to be a booking. It really comes down to what you define as a conversion. So it could be something like, they've contacted you, or they've linked off to contact a tourism operator if you're a destination. Or they actually picked up the phone and called you, or again, shifted across, called a phone number to a tourism operator, or they have physically actually made a booking, and you can see this through under campaigns. You'll be able to track through, and you can see all that data in there as well. So essentially, if we do all this right, so if we do some really strategic email marketing and you combine it with really, really relevant blog content that is of interest to those ideal customers, that's when we'll start moving more of those social communities into actual visitors, hopefully to our destinations or bookings in our tourism business. So that's it. So my key takeaways, there's a lot of content in there, but just the key things to take away really. Email is a highly influential owned media channel if we do it right. So, social's super important, but email works with it really, really well. Top priority, we really need to make sure that you're encouraging those social fans to jump on your email newsletter list. And pretty much all other marketing activities you do, a key call to action for them should be, jump on your email newsletter list. Deliver that right content to the right people. So really get to know who your ideal customers are and find out that helpful, inspiring and story content that they love to read, and helps overcome those barriers and, help them build that desire for your tourism product. Make sure you optimise that email design for reading it on mobile, and also measure what matters, whatever's relevant for your organisation as well. So we have put together an action list for you, because there's a fair bit of content in there as well. So on our website, we recommend you head across there, and after the conference have a look. We've got a summary of all those key points I've gone through, and I've also got some more links to more information as well, because again, I've just touched on a few things in there. So have fun and good luck with your email marketing, and thank you so much.
Well, thanks for bringing up the email subject, because we haven't been talking about that at all during this conference. One of the thoughts I had is, does this require some kind of CRM strategy as well?
It does, yeah. So I've really just touched on the high level. So email, awesome. You really need a whole CRM strategy of how all the different touch points, keeping a track of, how they've heard about you and joined your list and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, and depending on your organisation, there's lots of different email service providers, basic level, right through to really big guys that can help with that as well.
And can you recommend a few if you're just starting doing email marketing?
If you're just starting, definitely check out MailChimp. So that's free for the first 2,000 subscribers. And in Australia, there's a lot of web developers support it as well. So it's really, it's really easy to use as well.
Yeah. Who's actually doing email marketing?
It's a good question. Yeah, a few, which is cool.
Actually, yeah.
Be interesting. I was going to say for destinations, it's really good to chat to others. Because there's a lot of different systems out there as well, so talk to others and see what they're using.
Yeah. And what would you, because you spoke about open rates and click-through rates, what should we consider as a good open rate or a good CTR? Or is it difficult to say?
It's difficult to say. I think that for benchmarks for travel is around a 20% open rate and click rate of around 3%, but we say, look, work with what you've got and just try and improve that if you can. But the tricky thing is, as you get more subscribers on your email list, your click-through and open rates will drop, because you'll get more people joining, they get less engaged. So it's a tricky one, but...
If you only have a limited amount of time you can spend on a lot of channels, would you then advise stepping into email marketing?
Absolutely. Yeah. So social is very much, it comes back to who your ideal customer is. Who's your most profitable customer? Yeah. Where are they spending time on socials? That's where you focus your efforts, and then use email with really good blog content to help bring them down to purchase.
Does email work better with certain types of customers? So returning customers are better than one-time visitors?
It's a good point, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you've got long-haul customers that are only visiting, probably only going to be one-time visitors, they're probably not the ones. But if you've got a big, local or repeat customers, that's where email's really, really important, especially for a destination or a tourism business.
Do you have the idea that email is going to sort of progress or change in the next couple of years? Because it's been, I'm going to say, pretty standard over the last years. I mean, email in general has been very steady. Are there any new developments that are coming up with email?
I have recent reading is there might be more about a bit like how Facebook works, that there's an algorithm that basically if people are engaging with the emails, that'll help with, they'll Gmail will look at it and say, okay, if they're interested, we'll deliver the email. So that's more on the provider's side of things. Yeah. So that it might be if people are engaging, your emails will get delivered, but if not, they may not. So
you mentioned that sort of the attention span, say, is about 5 minutes.
Shorter than that. It's about 8 seconds, I think.
Yeah. Obviously there's a big video trend that you've been talking about as well. How well do video and email marketing
really
work
good.
together?
I should have mentioned that. So definitely use videos in your emails as well. So, really short, very much, I missed Aaron's presentation, but again, really short, sharp, shiny videos. Yeah. You can embed them in your emails as well. So again, put them in there, reuse that great content.
Yeah, perfect. Any questions from the audience?
Well done, Beck.
Thanks.
Adelaide represent. Good job. I guess I just probably had a question more around, the right customer and, obviously you were kind of talking about, the people who love your products and, people who, obviously, if you're in a winery, for example, the people who stand inside the door and talk to you for ages. I guess in my position, working for quite a large tour operator, I do have difficulties in actually engaging our frontline staff who tend to have their finger on the pulse a lot more. And I don't want to have like a series of workshops and meetings because it seems like every time we do that, it's not productive because the notes are taken and nothing really happens. So what are your tips for engaging when you're in that position where marketing's quite away from the front line of the action and what's going on? What's your tip for engaging with them? So is that you saying trying to work out who your ideal customers are, or from a customer? Or just experience? Even just more generally, like our frontline staff, so our tour guides, our drivers, our people who are even just at check-in desks at the terminals and all that kind of thing, who are actually speaking to our customers on a day-to-day basis, are going to have a better idea of what kind of things or what kind of problems or whatever. So what are your tips on trying to get that information, I guess, from them so that we can then sort of build up this archetype of what our ideal customers are? Really good point, because they are the best. They can definitely help you with that ideal customer profile. The way I've done it with a few different organisations is just literally do an online survey, whether they've got the time to do it, but basically it's a list of questions. What are they saying? What are their challenges? What are their barriers? Just get them to all do it individually, and then you cross-collate what they're all telling you. I mean, that's a simple, survey monkey thing that you can do, and then you can build a really robust persona. So again, you'd need to set the parameters. Okay, so for your 50 plus grey nomads or whatever, if they're one of your ideal customers, you need to set the parameters around that. This is who they are, and then get them to answer those questions, combine it, and then that will help give you a really good persona profile of who they are. Does that help?
Cool.
Hi, you mentioned before there was a 5-hour window from when you send an EDM out. Can you go into that a bit further, please? I haven't got the exact research. Well, the research basically says that if you send an email out, what you'll see is after 5 hours you drop off. You read, only from after 5 hours, only 10% of your subscribers will open and read that email. So it's not set in stone, but we can see in our own. MailChimp tells us that when we send an email, you can see the open rates, and then it literally after 5 hours dies. So, so it's picking times like in the morning or sort of just before lunch, those sort of things. That's really what it's sort of saying. Think about where your customers are in their week, because after 5 hours, there's not much chance they're going to read it.
Thanks very much for that. I'm just curious, you mentioned niche segmentation a lot, and we'd love to kind of invest more in that space, but my question is, do you have any tips on how to create that much content to target those niches so that we're constantly creating appealing content? Yeah,
it's a good question. The way we tackle it is, again, comes back to your ideal customer. If you were a tourism business, ideally just try and focus on one ideal customer. If you're a destination, keep it to 2 or 3. If you can, it's tricky, but the less customers, personas you have, then you don't need to create as much content, if that makes sense. So what you might also find too is this, some of that inspiring and helpful content will probably overlap with your different customer segments. So again, there's probably content that you can create that will be relevant for the different your different customer types. The segmenting really comes down to those really tactical offers, because some, especially location ones, aren't so relevant. So that's really where segmenting can really come into play. Does that make sense?
Just going back to tools for a second. So you mentioned MailChimp, which is obviously at the entry-level end of it.
Yes, yeah.
We're currently using Campaign Monitor, which is, kind of akin to MailChimp, but slightly more expensive.
Yes, yep.
What other platforms have you worked with that you would recommend? Because we are looking at kind of upping our game in this area. So we need to be able to segment better integration with our software. So,
It's a tricky one because there's a whole heap out there. So I can't specifically recommend one over the other, because it really comes back to your business case and what you want it to do. So be really clear on what you want it to do, and then go out there and come up with some process that you can assess the different systems. So you've got a shortlist, and then I'd be out there talking to others that are using them potentially, see what their feedback is on those. There's a few. We can pop them up. So no, there's tons. So we'll put some up on that webpage for you. Cool.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Cool. No worries.
Thanks.
Thank you, Cheryl.